Hello and welcome to this, the 8th part of the Midgar playthrough from Avalanche's Final Fantasy VII playthrough. In the last episode we obviously entered the Shinra Tower, ascended up to the 65th floor and got ourselves some key cards. In this episode what we're going to be doing is we're going to be getting access to some of the science laboratories that are in Shinra building, getting back with Aerith and meeting a new member of our party.
Now with floor 64 complete we can go up to floor 65 and continue with the next part. Now this will involve us just clearing out a pretty basic floor. Just moving some items around really, it's not that tricky. When you come into floor 65, one of these chests will be available to be opened. There we go, and we'll have an item called Midgar parts. All you've got to do is place all the parts in order. It's that simple really. Now you'll notice, the first time we come in the lights obviously come on. To the sort of middle left around this area is where the explosion is, so they've already updated it. There's lots of black slots. It doesn't matter which part you put in where, so all you've got to do is just pick up parts, put them in. There's 5 spaces for 5 sets of parts. You'll notice there's 6 treasure chests. There's 4 over here, 1 to our right and 1 up top. Once you've placed the 5 Midgar parts in, the 6th chest will obviously then give access to a new key card. So yeah, 3 more sets of parts to put in, and then the 4th set will enable us to get our key card. So I'm going to fade out now until I've put the last part in. This is the treasure chest here that's locked, which contains the key card enabling you to get up to 66. The 5th treasure chest, just in case you were looking for it guys, is back here. That's the one that contains. So this is the last set of Midgar parts. Also while you're on this floor you can get into some random battles, so I'll let this one play through just so you know. And now we've got an Ice All spell and a Bolt All spell. So it just means we've got a bit more variety with our attacking now, which will be important when we come to battles later on. It go through. They'll be dead pretty quickly. Make sure as well when you're fighting a lot of monsters in the Shinra building you keep yourselves on top of hypers and tranquilizers. As you can see, Cloud's being put into a Fury state. Just so you know, the Fury status is one that's slightly more red, Sadness is slightly more blue. Plenty of AP there from enemies. So I've got 3 tranquilizers, that's more than enough. Just as a heads up as well guys, if you're looking to personally customise your status, if you use a tranquilizer which cures Fury, but you aren't in Fury, it will actually put you in Sadness state. So if you're looking to physically put yourself into certain statuses, tranquilizers and hypers can do that for you. So this is floor 65 complete, and now we're going to be going up to floor 66. Nothing else really to do on this floor. We'll fight this battle and then we'll go up to floor 66. Once we get onto floor 66, we're going to get involved with a bit more of the storyline, because now we're quite high up the Shinra Tower, so all that's really left to do now is sort of meet back up with Aerith, who's somewhere in the tower, and then get the hell out of here, because that's the main reason why we're here. But as you can imagine, things won't be as easy as that, otherwise it wouldn't be the final part of Midgar. So there's a few more twists and turns yet to come, which I'll go through as detailed as possible. And we also learn a bit more about Cloud's past. So here we are. This is room 66. As you can see the president of Shinra, Heidegger, and a few other people who you won't know yet are about to sit down to a meeting. And there's some chap here who's making me stop. Just so you know, if you came in quicker, you couldn't get into the meeting room. So now you've got a few people you can have a chat to around here. Nothing really important. All you need to hear, just so you know about the story advancing, if you speak to one of the people, they'll say there's always a noise from the toilets. So you need to go into these toilets and click climb up. Now, there's a really important FMV here, so I'm going to let this FMV play through, guys. Barrett with the stereotypical "geez, there's a lot of suits." Now, Reeve has told us that it's going to cost me 10 billion gil in damages, but they're not going to be rebuilding it. The Neo Midgar plan. Now, Neo Midgar is essentially sort of a fabrication of what the President Shinra wants. So the rate hike, that essentially means that a raise in taxes. Mako rates is a bit like sort of your gas bill or electricity bill. And the extra income will be divided between Reeve and Scarlet. And Palmer, who wants more in the space budget, gets nothing. I'm not quite sure how increasing taxes is going to make the citizens more happy. And Heidegger's saying they're the one who's saved them from avalanche. I love this. They consider Aerith as a specimen. The difference is 18%. You can quantify difference between a mum and a daughter. Hojo's a very ruthless scientist. They're thinking of breeding the specimen. Not only so they can do more research on her, and look at that. And that concludes the meeting for now. Essentially, taxes are going up, and Aerith is going to get bred so they can do loads of weird tests on her to try and create this new land called Neo Midgar with you know, the help of the ancients, which we'll find out soon enough why they're needed. So, there's a slight sort of gap in gameplay coming up in a second where, like earlier on when we entered the Shinra Tower and one of the doors was jammed open, we're going to find ourselves able to get into a door that we shouldn't be able to again. What we need to do is we need to come down here and we'll spy Hojo. So we'll just wait a second, we'll bop out on Hojo, and then we'll see Hojo go up from floor 66. Now we don't have a keycard above 66, and there's only a few floors above us. So whilst we can follow him up the stairs, we won't be able to actually get in unless somehow the door magically stays open, which it conveniently does. Does Cloud remember Hojo? But he does remember him, but he doesn't exactly know what he looks like. Now, if we walk out of here, we can come in and out, even though we don't have keycard 67. I'll just show you the key items. We have keycard 66, but that's it. So we're now almost at the top. Now, if we have a quick chat here, you'll find out these are a lot of scientists who are working for Hojo. There's nothing much to speak about other than the guy here, who says the specimen Hojo asked for. In other words, there's lots of different specimen numbers. And if you walk along here, you see a random animal. And lots of crates. We need to raise the specimen to the upper level. To me, it just looks like a bit of a wild animal, really, but to Shinra, it's a wild specimen. And if you notice around a lot of these boxes, they're actually shipping crates. And the reason why this is important is because they've been shipping a very important piece of cargo for a biological experiment, like Tifa said. And the very important piece of cargo, we're just about to find out what it was. The infamous Genova theme tune. Cloud's about to now have a slight blackout, if you will. Now, as it said in there, Genova, we don't yet know an awful lot about Genova. All we know is it's connected to Sephiroth and it's some sort of monster. And where the hell's its head? So it's a monster that's connected to Sephiroth and where else is its head. We actually find out a lot more about Jenova and Sephiroth soon. Nothing can be done when we try and interact with the animal. So we can just continue along here. And if we find a chest here, we find some poison materia and a battle. Now, just as a heads up, there are a few random battles you can get around here. So just be prepared for them. Some of them can be quite tricky. And unfortunately this monster has nothing to steal. Now what we do need to be wary of as well is that in this area there are a couple of monsters that we're going to be wanting to fight. Namely the monster which we stole a carbon bangle off earlier. And there's another set of monsters we can fight who are essentially soldiers. You know, the trained army of Shinra. And they will enable us to get a very, very good sword for Cloud. But they can sometimes be a bit awkward to find. So the first thing I'm going to do is equip Barrett with the poison materia. And now we're set to do a little bit of exploring around here. And as luck would have it, it's only taken us one battle to find the enemy we're looking for. Now we have two moth slashers here, which will both have hopefully carbon bangles which we can take off them. Sometimes it does take a while to get them, so I'm just going to defend for a little bit and get Tifa to try and steal two. So we've got one carbon bangle already. These enemies aren't that hard to steal from, which is quite fortunate because usually enemies containing sort of important items are notoriously difficult to steal from. So we have one carbon bangle already. We've just stolen a second one. If we don't get any more, we've got a 4 slots materia, so we don't need to worry too much. So I'm not too fussed if I kill this enemy now. See if we get it this time. No, right, we'll kill it. We've got 2 carbon bangles. I'm happy with that. So now we're able to equip every member of the party with an accessory which can have at least 3 slots. So Tifa now has a carbon bangle, and everyone is happy. I'm just going to quickly take off Tifa's ice materia and swap it with an all materia, so we can heal everybody fully. So right, so now the only thing we were looking for now is to fight the trained sort of assassins, if you like, from Shinra, the soldiers. Now Cloud, as we know, was a 3rd class soldier, so what we're looking for... Sorry, Cloud was a 1st class soldier, but what we're looking for is 3rd class soldiers, so not that high up the food chain, but they patrol this area. We need to get into a fight with some 3rd class soldiers, so we'll fade out until we find some of those. Here we are. It's only taken us 2 or 3 battles to find the right people we're looking for. So I'm going to cast Ice All on these, and then I'm going to cast Sense, just to make sure I don't over damage them. Now you'll notice as well that in the previous few battles that I've been fighting, I've been doing something called limit building. I've spoken about limit building before. In the essence, we want to get our limit breaks as high as possible, so that when we come into a hard battle, we're able to cast all our limit breaks as quickly as possible. The reason why this is important is because we actually are coming into a boss battle very soon. Now they've cast a spell there called Bolt 2, which is an incredibly strong spell. It's actually a spell which we won't sort of come into contact with for a long time. Now I'm just going to be careful here that Barrett doesn't get killed, which he just has done. So I'm going to have to use a Phoenix down on Barrett. Unfortunately, that means that his limit gauge has got reset to 0. It's not too much of an issue though, because once he gets hit once more, we can use Cure with Tifa, which I'm going to do now. we know that they've got 186 hit points now. Sense obviously is telling us this, so he can slowly make his hit points go down. Again, we're not trying to kill him, we're just waiting until we get the correct weapon off him. What we're looking for is a weapon for Cloud called a hard edge. And we won't actually find that until the Gongaga area, which is the same area where Aerith gets her weapon from. Now the message here saying his skill power is used up, essentially what that means is he isn't able to do any more sort of attacking because he's used up all his magic points, because they don't anticipate battles to last this long. So now we've got all the time in the world just to try and get our weapon. I'm going to fade out now until we actually get the steal. Aha, there we go, we've stolen a hard edge. And that is the kill required. The enemy is only on 20 HP. So, that was the weapon we're looking for, and, quite luckily, we've got two of the characters who are limit built, and Barrett who's half limit built, meaning we're ready for the boss battle. So I'm going to go up here, I'm going to quickly make ourselves sort of healthy by taking Barrett's all materia, and swapping it, so Tifa can cast a cure all spell. There we go. Swapping the materia back. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what new weapon we've got for Cloud, which is a really, really fantastic weapon. It's got 2 more slots, and it nearly doubles his attack power. This weapon is a brilliant weapon. We don't find a weapon, you know, of this strength until much later on in Disc 1. We don't obviously have any more materia slots to put in. Just going to double check as well we're happy with where the cover materia is. It's on Barrett at the moment, who's got almost the same life as Cloud. That's not a problem. 2 limits are completely ready, so now we're about to fight our next boss battle. So this is sort of boss number 5 of the game, boss number 5 of Midgar. Don't worry, it's not against Aerith. So Hojo is sort of saying, oh well, you can't take Aerith back, she's mine. And he's sort of one of these stereotypical people who's going to be very clever to try and outwit you. And bring in the specimen. So that sort of monster we saw downstairs, that little dog, if you like, that red dog's about to come in and do something with Aerith. We're not quite sure what yet. And Aerith looks a bit scared, and that dog looks like he's about to attack. Both of them are on the brink of extinction. Aerith's definitely not an animal, she's a human being. She's an ancient, someone who is sort of at one with the planet. Now Barrett's going to do all that he knows, which is to throw a big pile of bullets at the glass. Good on you, Barrett. And the door has now malfunctioned, one of these electric doors. And Hojo looks a bit miffed. Now's the chance to get Aerith. Thank you, Cloud. Aerith gets out. But something's going on. We won't be able to see, but the elevator has started moving again. Cloud's going to come out of the malfunctioning dog. And he's rather strong. I'll help you all out. And the weird thing has just started talking. So, now we have a choice here. We're going to fight with the dog against this new monster that's about to attack us. Do we want to play with either Barrett or Tifa? I would like to play with Tifa for 2 reasons. Number 1, she's got Limit Break, and number 2, she has the Cure spell. Hojo has named me Red XIII, you can call whatever you wish. It's a little Easter egg in the game there. If you name him Red XIII, he will say his real name is Naniki. But if you rename him Naniki, he'll say his real name is Red XIII. A little bit of an Easter egg for you there, but I'm going to just leave it as Red XIII. So now we have a battle with Tifa and Red XIII. And those Red XIII's are a lot higher level than us. And for some reason I picked the wrong person there. That was a bit silly of me. Never mind. So we're fighting against a sample of H0512 and the real HO512. Now, all you've got to do is take out the back row HO512, and it takes out all the little ones in between. If you take out any of the little ones, the guy in the back row will cast a spell called Reanimagic, which basically heals them. Now, the guy in the back row for a standard level game has between 1,000 and 1,200 hit points. I'm not entirely sure exactly how many. On my game, I'll just check how much he does via the sense materia. He has 1,300, so a little bit more than you will have on your game. Nearly all the enemies here are sort of poison-based, which means they're weak against fire. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and attack the guy at the back as quickly as possible and get rid of him. Now, because the guy's in the back row, he's going to take less damage, so you need to be rather quick, especially considering Barrett's on quite low life. You'll notice that the bolt spell does very little damage. Now what I'm going to do is Cloud, because he doesn't have a fire spell, I'm going to use some items I've picked up. Now I've picked up a couple of these bombs called grenades. I'm going to use a grenade on you to hopefully do a lot of damage. And now, that's the end of the battle. Not that tricky a battle. And for completing it, we get plenty of AP and experience, 330 experience and 33 AP for me. Might be slightly less for you guys. And a talisman, that won't change. Now, a talisman is the second accessory you'll have obtained since you got the star pendant a bit of a time ago. And Red XIII hates two-legged things. Very logical answer. He is an informed question, but difficult to see. And Red XIII wants to apologise for what happened there. Let's get the hell out of here. Let's break them into two groups. Menu button to access the menu. Cancel button for change party. OK to finish. Let's press cancel. I'd like to change it. And I want to have Barrett and Red XIII in my party. There we go. And then OK to change button. They'll be waiting at the 66th floor elevator. So what we need to do now is get back to the 66th floor elevator as quickly as possible. But before we go, let's quickly dash back in here to get the enemy skill materia. Now, we do have a choice whether we continue forward and speak to this guy here. If we do, nothing important happens, so I'll just quickly show you what happens now. There are also some items that are here, but we'll be able to get those later, but I'll collect a couple of them now. There's 2 potions there. If we speak to this guy, he runs off. Now, this doesn't actually, you might think, oh, the 68th floor keycard, that helps us, but it doesn't actually help you. All it means is you can take a slight shortcut, because it just means we can go in through this door here and escape. Now, if we try and go up, we won't be able to, so we can only go down to the 66th floor elevator. So we go down to the 67th floor, and then down to the 66th floor. Now once we're here, just before we continue, it's going to be worth arranging our materia. Now if we check Tifa, she has 4 pieces of materia, and there's space for a couple, obviously, on Red XIII. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the restore materia and move that. I'm going to then take the steel materia and put that on Barrett. And I'm going to take the cover materia off completely. And I'm going to put the ice materia there. So now we've got sort of the stage where we've got everyone with full materia and materia left over. But luckily Cloud has 2 spots here free, so we can put the cover materia on Cloud. And now we just need to find some materia to sort of mix up a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give Red XIII the lightning materia. And then I'm going to give Cloud the poison materia. And now I just need to work out what other materials I can move around. So if I give Red the ice materia and Cloud the restore materia. And the cover there we are. Enemy skill at the moment we don't need to worry about equipping because there aren't any enemy skills to worry about. I'm just going to cast heal on Barrett and then we're ready to go. As soon as we go into the elevator we get into a cutscene where we meet a Turk who wants to take us in. And he's asking you to press up. And now we've got into a trap. However, though, we do get to explore the 69th and 70th floor. The 69th floor we've just come up from, and this is the top floor of the Shinra building, where the President is waiting. And we're going to have a quick chat with the President, and then they're going to get thrown in some cells. I'll let the chat pan out, and then I'll fade out. As you can tell, there are 4 people, and 1's missing. Aerith's in a safe place. And she is the last surviving ancient. Now we're about to learn a little bit more about them and why they're really interested in Aerith. So, we know she's an ancient, but they are actually known as the Cetra. You know, they're an indigenous race of the planet. And Red XIII knows a lot about the Cetra because of his sort of upbringing. And they will show them the way to the Promised Land. Now, obviously, show in inverted commas here. The point is that it's not going to be someone walking you down a path. It's going to be a way of unlocking it from a planet's secret. Now, the Promised Land is going to be very fertile, and if the land is fertile, then there's going to be Mako energy. In other words, it's a way for the Shinra company to make money. Now, it's so abundant in the Promised Land, theoretically, that the Mako energy is almost bursting at the seams. There's just too much of it. And that's when they're going to build Neo-Midgar, sort of the new Neolithic Midgar, if you like. And that's all for the President Shinra meeting with the rebel group known as Avalanche, plus a new member called Red XIII. And Barrett's obviously a bit angry, now he's finally got to meet his nemesis for the second time. As you can see, the Shinra's got sort of vaguely coloured eyes from his exposure to Mako energy. And if there's anything else, talk to his secretary.
Okay, and that was all for this, the 8th part of the Midgar playthrough from Avalanche's Final Fantasy VII playthrough. We've completed most of the Shinra Tower like we set out to do. We've also got access to a few more secret items, including a weapon for Cloud. In the next episode, after we've been captured, we're going to be completing the Shinra building, and also we're going to look towards travelling outside on the world map once we've finished Midgar.